As she said, we are BidCall, and I am presenting BidCall Direct. Our motto is changing the way you look at salvage. And I think it's a pretty apt phrase for how we do things, a little bit different. She said Josh Sprow and Adam Cooper will be presenting. Unfortunately, my lovely assistant, who is going to be represented in videos, is not audible through this presentation. Couldn't figure out how to get Ring Central to do it. So he's going to be cut out. Sorry, Adam. I am the lead developer for BidCall. They did let me out of the basement to do this presentation. So I hope you bear with me and let Racer, my boss, know that I did a great job. Without further ado, I will click forward and we're just going to start talking. On the agenda today, we're going to talk about BidCall Direct, which is our bidding tool for IAA and Copart auctions. First, I'm going to go through some of the features that we've got, some definitions of some of the terms that we use, and then after that, we'll go into some demos. Just how the product looks, how it functions, and some features that we have. Then we'll get on to reporting, some stuff that we can give you after the sale is over that can help you analyze parts and how buyers did and that sort of deal. Then the roadmap, what we're looking forward to in the future, and following all of that, a Q&A. I love questions, so save them up, throw them in the chat if you want, and I'll get to them at the end. And let's get going with the features. First thing, as I said, BidCall Direct is a bidding tool for IAA and Copart auctions. It's designed for the kind of bidding where you're buying many vehicles for your yard for inventory. And to help us get those details, we're partnering with URG to get Pinnacle's demand data. So folks with the Pinnacle Yard Management System, we can use the data from your part sales to help inform what the prices are that you're willing to bid on. That'll make a little bit more sense when once I get into the demo, but let me talk about how we do that. Once we've come up with the bids, we partner with AutoBid Live to enable live bidding. We'll come up with a max bid amount for you, and then AutoBid Live ups your bid up to your maximum bid so that you can get that vehicle at the lowest price possible. Now, how do we do that? The first step in trying to figure out how much a vehicle is worth to you guys is matching the model to what is in interchange. And to do that, we have foundationally developed kind of an AI process where user input, correct and incorrect assignments are informing our system so that we can continuously improve how models are matched. And we're seeing that performance increase week over week over week. And as the model matching gets better and better, so too does our part matching. When we load vehicles into a sale, we do some automatic part selection. Right now, we're doing engines and transmissions. And to do that, we have preference for certain keywords that are attached to those interchange parts. For most trucks and vans and stuff, especially in the South, we're looking at 4x2 vehicles, automatic transmissions. If they're gas vehicles, that's without a turbo. And we have a whole catalog of little keywords that we use to try and tune our process so that we're getting the correct parts that match the vehicle so we can price them using your demand data. Now, if we're not able to do automatic part selection, or if it's something outside of an engine and transmission, we revert to a manual part selection process that I think is pretty slick, mostly because I built it. But it can go pretty quickly, and it'll allow buyers to go into a sale and pick those parts that are good on a vehicle. As I said earlier, reporting, that's a big deal. We generate a bid sheet that is submitted to AutoBid Live, and it's a nicely formatted document that I'll show you in a minute. And that just shows you what we project the sales of that part to be and the max bid amount. Going into greater detail is a vehicle evaluation file that you can pull up on any vehicle at any time. And this tells you what parts we've assigned to the vehicle, as well as a bunch of other stuff about it. Demand data, how much of a premium we might be putting on that part because of the demand data, and how many days to sell that part has on your shelf. We estimate how many days a part is going to be sitting there before you get rid of it to help us inform how much that part is worth and therefore how much the vehicle is worth. After the vehicle evaluation file, there's a sale evaluation file, and that's just an accumulation of all those VEFs. Now, the big thing that we offer after the fact is buyer performance through a document we call first pass yield. And there's a lot to it, and there's probably not enough time in today's presentation to go into every aspect of the first pass yield. But essentially what it does is figures out how good your buyers are at matching interchange parts. And what we found is if they're good at matching parts, they're good at buying good vehicles, and they're good at making you money. And on to the demo. As I said earlier, I had some videos, but the audio is not playing, so I am just going to drag this window over here and show you what we're doing. I've logged in as a demo user so that we don't give away any company secrets, and I'm going to show you first the main sales page. This is how most buyers enter our system and how they look at the sales. We can look for any sales in a certain date range. This is on our demo site, so there's only 2 in there. And if they're not in there, we can add it. We're pulling in all the Copart and IA auctions, and we can give you a breakdown, date by date, auction by auction, how many vehicles are in the sale, and you can add it that way. Once the sale is added, if you look at this here, we can show you what the preview date is, when you're planning on going through the sale and picking parts and cars, what the sale date is, when that sale is going to go off, the location, what customer, what buyers are on the sale. Say you're a shop with 4 or 5 buyers, you can put all of them on the same sale. I can only see the main screen. Thank you, Kristen Alexander. Boo, boo, boo. And thank you, Racer. I am getting there. Better? Sweet, thank you. All right, so I'll recap real quick. Date range, select a date range. Here are the sales that show up in that date range. You can add a sale. Here's all the IA Copart auctions with a number of vehicles in there. Left to right, preview date, when you're planning on looking at them, sale date, when the auction happens. IA Houston is what this auction is. These are the important ones. Available, how many vehicles are available in the sale. Scouted, that's how many we were able to find a correct model for and assign an engine and transmission. Previewed, the number of vehicles that were looked at. In this case, Racer looked at 2 of these vehicles, and purchased. We also have a little edit thing here where I could change the customer to somebody else, but normal customers aren't going to have access to that. Just me, because I made it. And after that, I'll just go into a sale and show you what that's all about. So I just pulled up IA Houston. I think a couple of people are hammering our site now, so it's going a little bit slower. And here are all the vehicles. The first thing you might notice is these little check marks here. The check marks are our status. If we're not able to find a model, or if there's no parts, we show a red icon. This BMW here, we weren't able to find it, but that's okay. We'll fix that in a minute. Normally, when a buyer goes in, they're just going to be looking at Scouted some parts. Scouted means that we've looked at the car, we figured out what kind of car it is, and then we're able to put an engine and transmission on it. Some parts means that we were able to put an engine or a transmission, but not both. So with these scouted vehicles, I can go through, look at the stock number, year, make, model, odometer. This pre-bid projected sales is the amount of money that we think this car can make you based on just the engine and transmission alone. This is a preliminary number, but it gives you a good way to sort the sale to figure out if this is going to be a profitable vehicle or not. A fun way to do it is to sort from high to low and then get your big money up here. As you can see, Racer already went through and previewed and bid on this vehicle. It's showing up in green, showing that it is a winning bid. Once we've won the vehicle, then we can put in the cost of it. We've also got the damage So you can filter by the type of damage or filter out the types of damage that you don't want to see. And coming soon will be the seller. Generally, insurance companies, that sort of thing will show up here. That might be an interesting way to sort things through. At BidCall, part of the idea of changing the way you look at salvage is by providing you as much data as possible. And that's the goal here. We want to give you as much data as we can to give you an idea of what you can buy and how to buy it. So back to what I was saying earlier about these missing model things. I am, looks like we're doing pretty good on models today. I'm just going to search for only missing models. So I saw that there's this BMW 745 that we had trouble matching. In order to fix that quickly, we can just click from the drop-down. In the interchange, they don't want us calling it a 745, they want it to be a 745i. We can change the model, and now it's no longer a missing model, real quick. And then after that, it's going to scout it and pick the parts. Click back a little too fast. Again, very brief overview, but I'm going to keep on trucking. Let's take a look at this Sentra. So one of the things I said earlier was we help you pick parts quickly on this vehicle. And this is how we do it. Inside the vehicle, we've got the engine and transmission have been pre-selected. And it looks like we did a pretty good job on it. 4th digit, VIN A, CVT, automatic, probably. And as a bidding tool, what we've found is it's pretty cool to show all the information to the buyers all in one spot. So I made a little link so that you can open up the vehicle on the auction site itself and view it there to help inform what parts are on the vehicle, what's good, what's bad. Sorry about the load times here. So this guy, engine, probably not looking so good, so probably want to remove that. While we're in here, I can show you some other data that we provide. If the engine was good, we can show you that this customer has 103 in stock. There are 2 requests. These question marks mean 0. Transmission, average price, close rate, in stock, not found, standard price, requests, sold. This is how we do all of our math. And then on top of that, to help inform the value of the vehicle, we can assign condition to it. We can do that in 3 different ways. We can do it by number of hours required for a repair. In this case, the customer set $50 an hour at that rate, so we can increase the amount of hours it'll take, and as you can see, that'll lower the price of the part. We can also adjust it based on a percent. Say we want to take 5% off based on this condition, or we can do a flat dollar rate, or any combination thereof. Other things that we can do in here are generate the bid. Once you've picked all your parts and assigned condition to all of them, you can click generate bid, and that will bid the vehicle for you. And it is coming back with the bid right now. Based on 2 parts with some condition taken off, our bid is -$85. Not unexpected, we didn't add other parts to it. But if this was a properly previewed vehicle with accurately assigned interchange parts, we would have a nice, accurate bid for this vehicle. Now, again, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat, throw them in the Q&A, and I'll get back to them at the end. All right, now I'll go back to the presentation so that we can talk a little bit about reporting. This is just all the stuff that I skipped by for the demo. So here is an example of a vehicle evaluation file. And it's kind of like a spreadsheet looking version of that screen that I just showed you, but it has a little bit more data and it's a little bit more concise. Back arrow. So here, somebody has picked all the parts on this vehicle, and we have a breakdown of what all those interchange parts are, what all of these, the demand is on it, all the prices, any adjustments. In this case, we didn't apply any adjustments. And then final prices based on those adjustments. Using our special blend of herbs and spices, we're able to come up with a number of days to sell and a close rate for some of these parts. If you take a look at this engine here, we've got one request, one not found, one sold, but it's a pretty nice motor. We ended up giving it a 5% premium based on this customer's settings, and we predict that that part's going to sell in 90 days. And using these totals, we're able to come up with a part total. And down here, we've got a bunch of adjustments that affect how that part total is connected to the vehicle total altogether, including transportation, any adjustment that you might have on the auction itself, certain vehicles we can apply direct adjustments to, filter out any low-priced vehicles. We have a minimum part projected sales, so if it's worth $1,000, we don't bid on it for you. And flat adjustments. Let's say that each car that you bring in costs you $23.19. We can add that to the adjustment, and it gets added to your bid automatically. Once this is all done, we'll have a cost figure down at the bottom, and we'll roll all of the purchased vehicles into one big report that shows all of this data, including the buyer's information. As I mentioned earlier, this is the bid sheet. This is what we send off to AutoBid Live, and we will, and it's just nicely formatted. It's a good way to see the cars that you purchased. Now let's get to first pass yield, and this is a big deal. This shows buyer performance on accuracy for parts. In each column, we have a different part category, which you can see with the key below, and then if that part was accurately scouted or not. So on this one, by buyer, engine, transmission, looking pretty good, 94, 93% accurate. That's great. But PF, what are we looking at for a PF? Right airbag, we're not getting matches super often. And airbags, if they're intact, they're a good part to sell. So that would be a great conversation to have with the buyer after the fact. Once your sales are run, we can talk about targeting some of these lower percentage parts. Another thing that we can do is break it down in a pivot table and look at by vehicle how these parts are performing, or how these vehicles are performing as a sum of parts. So in this case, buyer A on this Sentra, this 07 Sentra, we didn't have a complete match, but it's a pretty close match. The A and B, I forget what the difference is there. I'll get back to you on that. But in their part total, they got $641.30. The sum of the retail price after all these parts were sold off of that vehicle was $485.93. So we over predicted a little bit on that, and you'll see there's over predictions, under predictions, some stuff that's dead on, and there are many reasons for all of this. One of them might be an incorrect interchange. So right here, we've got a total mismatch in interchange, and that might have caused this legacy to get overbid. And we can look at this performance to see, based on accuracy, how good are you buying? What we want is for our projections to be as close to the retail price as possible. And the only way to do that is with data. Another thing that we show in first pass yield is average days from purchase to inventory. And this can help decide how to weigh different auctions over others. If you're going to buy a car at Longview versus Dallas versus Austin, let me see, ILR might not be on here, IOC. But if we look at the difference between Copart Oklahoma City versus Copart Fort Worth, we can see that there's a difference in the number of average days from purchase to inventory. I wish this was a live one so I could actually show you real values. But it might make the difference if the transportation cost is a lot higher on Copart Oklahoma City. Maybe it's worth buying that car from Copart Fort Worth instead. I don't know, but data is good, and we like to provide it to you. Now that I've talked about all the features and gone through a little bit of a demo, let's talk about what we're planning to do in the future. one big, huge thing is integrating with other yard management systems. Right now, through URG, we're getting Pinnacle's data for demand on parts. But if we're able to get more, then we're able to serve more, and we're able to help out more folks buy better parts and better cars. Another thing, improving buying speed with UI improvements. I'm coming into the industry not as a buyer, but as a programmer, and I'm learning every day little ways to improve speed from the people that are using our system. Different ways to lay out keys, or should I hover over this? Should I click on this? What happens after I click save? All that sort of stuff. If we can save seconds on each car, we can save minutes and hours on the bidding process. So that's a big focus of mine. Another one, more part types auto-selected. We've done it with engines and transmissions, and in time, we'll be able to do it with other major parts on the vehicle. Using those interchange part descriptions, at least for most vehicles, it is possible to select many of the parts on the car, and we should do that. So that's our target. The last thing is a fully cloud-based architecture. Right now, we're stable and everything's working great. But if we move to a fully cloud-based system, we'll be able to offer better performance, more redundancy, and better integration with other systems. And I guess one more bullet point that I would put at the bottom, following fully cloud-based architecture, we want to get as many integrations as we can. We want to put as much data on that car so we can put the best prices possible. Now, thank you very much for your time. I see that Vito's already got a question in the Q&A, which I much appreciate. If you have any questions about the product, or if you have any follow-up, Racer is my boss. Give him a call, shoot him an email. If you want a link to any of the examples that I've shown and this PowerPoint presentation itself, this URL will take you there. I know it's a little bit gross looking, but it's short. So you can go there for that.